everybody, and welcome to episode 31 of the Mingled Yarncast. My name is Stephen. I am your host here. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as KnitFen, and you can follow me in those places, and you should also follow me here and subscribe here if you're not doing so already. I always forget to say that, so I'm putting it right up front. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all those things that will help this channel be seen by other people. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Got a lot to share with you, but I'm actually not going to share it all today. Quite often what happens is I come to make an episode and I feel like I'm struggling to have things to show you. Now I have too much, so I'm going to separate them out into two episodes. So today what I'm going to share with you are two of the finished works that I have, two shawls, and a couple of recommendations and a little update about things that I'm going to hopefully work on before the summer is out. Many of you probably know, if you've watched this channel for a while, I am a teacher, high school teacher, so I am on summer vacation still. We don't go back until after Labor Day. So I've got some time to try some new things, and I will tell you what those are in just a bit. So yeah, the last episode was titled A Tale of Two Shawls. So this episode will be a tale of two more shawls. And the next one will be whips and trips. So I will show you some of the things that I'm working on and talk about some of the travels that I've been on recently. All domestic within the US, and I've seen and done some fun things this summer, but those will be shared with you in the next episode. So stay tuned. So let's get right to it, shall we? Which one should I start with? I have two. I'm going to start with this one. This is, let's see here. Oh, you know what I want to show you first? I'm sorry. The first thing I want to show you is not knitting related at all. Behind me here, you can see the apartment complex across the road, and it's all part of the same housing apartment universe. What's the word that I'm looking for? It's not universe. Whatever. That's our pool over there. That's what I'm trying to say. And if you look at the pool, you can look at New York. Hi, New York. But if you look at the pool and you notice those gorgeous beds of flowers, I'm just sharing those with you because I think they're so pretty. I'll put a picture up here up close so you can see what I'm talking about. But those are just very long beds of black-eyed Susans, and I love them. They are there every summer, and I look forward to them being there. And now that they're there, I want to share that with you. Oh, you may also have noticed I'm wearing a little special something today. I finally have a mic. I finally have a proper sound system. This podcast is becoming so professional. I love it. There were comments on the previous episode that the sound quality was not so great. And frankly, I already knew that. I'd been meaning to do this for a while, but I do appreciate the call out because that made me finally go, okay, it's time. I'm going to be doing this for a while, so I might as well invest in some equipment, right? So hopefully this is working and the sound is even, and even if I hold something in front of my face for a moment, you'll still hear and it won't get muddled. So now, with all of that out of the way, now I will show you shawl number one. So this, you may recall, I think it was the previous episode when I talked about the Zauberball that I purchased in Prague. Well, you know what? I need to be mindful not to cover the mic because that might actually muffle things. Anyway, so in Prague, I purchased a Zauberball at Yarn Queen, and when I brought it back, I mentioned it in the last episode, and I got an email. Sorry, not an email. A message from Ruth Hendricks on Instagram, and she told me about a pattern that she had done by a designer she was friends with and liked and knew well. And so she gifted me the pattern, which was very nice of her. And I thought, well, then I shall use that pattern and I shall see what I can do with this Zauberball. So you can see it's quite long. If I fully extend my arms, oh, that's a nice little parabola or some kind of geometric shape, I think. It is as big as I am. It is this big. And gosh, I hope you can still hear me now. I'm going to sit like this for a minute just so you can kind of see it Yeah, this is the Zauberball. It has a name. I can't remember what the name because there are different ones of them, but it doesn't really matter. What makes this such a good project for Zauberball is this. One, it is a simple triangular shawl, as you can see, and it doesn't require any changing of yarn. So the Zauberball is perfect for that, and it's a good thing that the Zauberball changes so much because here's where this piece begins. Okay, and it grows from here this way. And at first, if you've ever knit a triangular shawl or well, any shawl really, that starts from a small center bit, at first it goes so quickly, and it feels like, oh, this is going to be a quick knit the whole way. And then you get to those longer sections where it's not so quick anymore. And then it can start to drag. And I feel like if this had been all a single color, it would have gotten a little it would become work rather than play. But the Zauberball color changes make it um, change quite a lot. Oh, and you know what I realized? I did not tell you the name of the shawl or the designer. Bad Stephen. It is called A Little Bit of This and a Little Bit of That shawl by Susan Southard, who I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You can find her online on Ravelry, and I think this is also her, or this is her Instagram. I think it's also her Ravelry. It's Why Not Fabrics, and of course, I will add that into the description notes so you can see it for yourself. Y as in WYE, which I believe is a place name. Not as in KNOT, as in knotting something. Why Not Fabrics? So look her up. Anyhow, let me get back to telling you about the experience here. So it was lots of fun, but as it grew and grew and grew, I was getting to the point where I'm like, oh, I need a change to happen. And then finally, just when I couldn't wait any longer, a change does happen, and you get these sections of lace. And see how you can kind of see through me a little bit here, or see through the shawl? See me through the shawl. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Um, yeah, there are three lace sections. They start off small, they get a little bit bigger. And it's simple lace. It's nothing to be scared of if you haven't done a lot of lace. If that's not your thing, this is a good starting project for that. In fact, it will take away your fear instantly. And yeah, so those three lace sections come along and things pick up a bit. Even though the piece continues to grow lengthwise, whenever I'm doing the lace parts, those feel like they go so much faster. And obviously, I've said this before. The garter stitch section, it's just knit, 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 knit. There is some variation on the right side. You do have to do a little bit on the ends to get. See if you can see this on here. I don't know if it'll film well, but yeah, you can kind of see that the edge, a little bit of lace happening on the edge too, just a little bit. That's where the increases are happening, and the decreases are happening on the other side. But what was I just saying before I interrupted myself? Oh, yes, I was saying that when you are knitting, 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 knitting the whole time, even when that's so much easier to do than other things, it can just feel like it takes longer. So that's why having the lace come along is a nice interlude, nice break from that. So the final product here, when we wear it, I am going to cover up the mic here for just a second. So you know what? I will just be quiet and model silently. So there you go. uh, it's a beautiful piece, really really lovely. And I thought, you know what? I thought it was going to take me very little time at all. In the next episode, I will tell you more about my summer travels. Uh, but for now, I will tell you that I was on a bus from Savannah to Tampa, Savannah, Georgia to Tampa, Florida. And it was an 8-hour trip that turned into a 14-hour trip. And I thought that I would be able to start and finish this all in one bus ride. I probably got maybe this far, maybe that far. in the single bus ride. Um, I did not make it the whole time, and truthfully, I mean, there were moments where I just had to put it down for a little bit, let the fingers rest, look out the window, enjoy the view, that kind of thing. Although I should say that the length of the trip, the reason it took 14 hours instead of 8 was because 6 of those were spent in a layover sitting in the bus stop in Orlando. So I had nothing else to do. Well, that's not true. I had a universe of things on my phone to listen to or watch, and I had books with me. I had other things to do. But I worked on this most of the time. And even so, yeah, it took longer than I thought. And in the end, the whole thing took me about 3 weeks. But that's because I was picking it up, putting it down, etc., starting another project, finishing another project, and yeah, so it wasn't my prime focus the whole time of those 3 weeks. But once it was done, I have fallen in love with it. I have not decided yet what I want to do with it in the end. This will be a gift, or I may keep it for myself as my winter scarf. Who knows? We'll see. But I'm very pleased with it. So thank you, Susan, the designer. Thank you, Ruth, for giving me the design as a gift. And yeah, I definitely recommend it to all of you. And I hope that if you have a Zauberball in your stash, you might look to this pattern as a way to bust through that stash, because it just does beautiful things with the colors. And I should say too, something about this particular Zauberball. The colors do not go in a predictable order. It's very mixed up. I've worked with others that did follow the same order so that you could, make things symmetrical. This one you could not, and I really like that about it. Um, and that kept things fresh and fun, I have to say. Um, there's something else that I wanted to say along those lines. What was it? Well, if it comes to me, I will let you know. But it's a beautiful piece, and yeah, definitely a recommendation. Okay, so that is a little bit of this and a little bit of that shawl by Susan Southard of Why Not Fabrics. As I fold this up, set it aside. Now I will finally reveal to you the completed, long overdue mystery knit along, Westknits mystery knit along from 2024. Here it is, folks. The Go Go Dynamo shawl. Ta-da! 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 Let me hold it up here so you can see the front. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's so enormous and so much fun to look at. I'm going to walk you through the different sections of this piece because it's a lot. Now, I know many of you out there will have done this already yourself because you took part in the MCAL, but for many, you may have seen this but not known too much about it. So I will tell you some little details here. This took me a long time, as I've mentioned before. In the 2 years that I've done the MCAL, I have not finished it on time. I I just get caught up in other things. Usually, it seems like I'm able to get through the first 2.5 clues, and then I get slowed down. And with this one, well, I finished it sooner than the other one. I finished it within a year, so that's good. But oh, I should also say, I've said it before, but it needs to be said again. The yarn that I used was Twisted Ambitions yarn. Ross did a wonderful dye job, and I can't remember the names of the colors, but this was a kit that he put together specifically for the MCAL, and it was a Westknits kit sold through Stephen and Penelope. Um, here's the story. So if you've not worked on this one, you might be wondering, where does this thing begin, right? Does it start at a corner? Does it start in the center? Where does it begin? And it begins right here, basically. These three, let's see here. I need to move so I can display this a little better. Um, there's no good way to do it. Well, you see the arches there? Um, there's three of them, right? Three arches. They look like rainbows, and they've got sort of like a rainbow in between them. Okay, so those are in the center. Those three semicircles are what you start with. And then the garter stitch rainbows that link them, that's the next part. You use that to connect them. So you make three semicircles, you leave them on the needles, and then, I'm sorry, you leave them on scrap yarn so that the stitches stay live. And then the pattern takes you through the process of linking them. And so that's how you get through the first clue or part one. And then you pick up stitches and you add on the next layer that you see on top of that, which is this bit here. These are, I think it's called the bubble section. They were a little bubblier before I blocked it. They've kind of flattened out now, but it doesn't matter. They're still really cool. And then you have a brioche ribbing section, another layer of bubbles, brioche ribbing, and another layer of bubbles. Um, for me, I will tell you, I loved making the semicircles. I loved linking them. That was a really fun process. I loved the bubbles, and I loved making the brioche. That was a really fun process too. I am not in love with the choice that I made. This is no fault of the pattern. It just has to do with my own decision. But he inserted a mohair dare in the section you see with the brioche ribbing. And I chose to use two strands of mohair held together that kind of echoed the colors that were there in my contrasting yarn. And they did contrast or echo with them. Sorry, when they put the individual yarns next to this contrast color, but when they're blended, and there's two different colors here and two different colors here, when they're blended, they just kind of look a little bit brown. And I love a brown garment, but that wasn't the color that I was going for. I wanted the green. This should be green and pink. I should have known, right? Green and pink gonna make brown. This one is a little bit greener. It's mixed with a white, but anyway, the effect when you see it in person, it's not horrible. It's not. It's really not awful, but I don't love it as much as I want to love it. So I kind of wish that I would have stuck with the original contrast color and just added maybe the pink to it, maybe the light green, I'm not sure, but one of those, and that might have made for a better look. However, no crying over spilled milk right now. So, what I do want to point out is, well, no, I'll talk about the effect of everything later. Let me continue talking about the structure. So the next layer is this border. And as you can see, it is a series of triangles that are made with short rows. And I think there's supposed to be 20 of them, but I got the numbers wrong because the first one I made it too short. It threw everything off. And I didn't realize it until much, much later. And I just thought, oh, I will make it work out as I go along. We'll see what happens. And anyway, there's a bunch of them, one way or another. And this section, I'm going to be honest with you, not my favorite. The short rows, I've done actually a very similar thing. The Westfjords Wanderer shawl starts with a border like this. That's where it begins. And it has, the interlocking triangles, that kind of thing, that create an arc. And there's many of them, but they're much, much, not much, much bigger, but they're, two or three times this size, probably three times the size. And each section just takes a little bit longer, and you have a bigger space of number of stitches to work with. On this, the stitch count was fairly small, and that meant that as you're working it with the needles, you only have a few stitches on each time, as you have all the rest of this shawl hanging from the needles that as you're working with it. So it wasn't the most comfortable, fun part of it for me. I didn't love it, but I love the effects. I love the way it looks. It just that caused me to well, other things caused me to put it down, but this caused me to not pick it back up faster than I did. So that when I finally did, here's the other thing. You learn the repeats pretty quickly. I mean, you can memorize it. It just takes doing it a couple of times and then it's in your head. But when you put it down and don't pick it up for another 2 months, you have to then come back to I mean me. I had to then come back and say, okay, how do I do this again? Figure it out, memorize it again. And then I put it down and a month or two passes. And I did that like 4 times. So every time I had to pick it up or I picked it up, I had to relearn how to do it. And that was frustrating. And that has more to do with, myself than anything else, nothing to do with the pattern. But anyway, like I said, I love the effect. The effect is beautiful. It's a lot of fun. And when all is said and done, there is an optional additional border that you can put on. So many of you will have made this and think, well, that's not done. Or you may have seen it and think, I saw more to it than that. Yes, I know. But the pattern does say it is an optional finishing point, and I opted not to use it. So this is the way I wanted it to look at the end. What the optional part is a bit of a sort of a feather and fan border, something like that. You can find it online. You'll see pictures, and then you can decide for yourself what you like best. Now, once that is done, and the piece is very, very long, so big I can't even get it all into the screen here. Once that is done, then you begin the middle section, or the bottom middle section, I should say. That arc. So you pick up all the stitches from the semicircle section that you made at the beginning. You pick up stitches along there and you begin working these next 2 sections. And the first is this one, the baubles, the tiny baubles. Now, I also didn't love making this section at first, but I adore the way it looks. So it was definitely worth the effort. It's such a cool effect. So the reason it was a little bit of a pain is because you see those baubles, the way you make them is that on one side you, what do? You slip stitch, and then in the next stitch you knit yarn over knit into the same stitch, and you slip stitch, and you repeat doing that. And then on the way back, those knit yarn over knits where you increased by 3, you then have to decrease all of those into 1 stitch. And I found that difficult to get into. It was a hard, like a physically hard process in some cases. It was like, oh, this is starting to cramp my hands and hurt a bit. But I did kind of find an ease with it. It just took a while to get into that. Once I did, it was better. And like I say, I didn't mind so much because I do just love it. And I love the way it comes out in this yarn. It's like there's these string of Christmas lights or fairy lights all across the piece of different colors. And it just really works well with the color changes because there's sort of just enough of each change of color to, in some cases, create, like a solid little bauble. In some cases, they're mixed up. But as your eye goes across it, you'll just start to see all kinds of different things and combinations. So that was a really brilliant element of the yarn. So thank you, Ross, for that. And obviously a brilliant part of the design. So thank you, Stephen, for that. And then after the tiny baubles, you have this slip stitch section, which is interesting because when I saw other people's versions of it, I couldn't tell that it was made with slip stitches. I thought there was like some like stranded color work going on to create this effect, because what I saw in other people's at first was like rectangles that were missing one side. My drawing in the air probably didn't help you see that at all. Probably better to just hold this up. So I saw, if you look, I see the top layer here, and then the bottom layer is like the open layer. So like stacked boxes, let's call it that. That's what I saw. But in the pattern, it mentioned slip stitch triangles. I was like, slip stitch triangles? I didn't see that until I made it, and then I did, and I realized, oh, we've got these like, I don't know, kind of Art Deco-y looking triangles, which now that I see them, I can't unsee them, but I certainly did not see them at first. So there's a great optical illusion, and this is a section which I think actually looks a little better with a solid color because you get that effect much more clearly, but I still love it in this yarn as well. And so anyway, you do the tiny bobbles, you do the slip stitch triangles, you do the tiny bobbles and the slip stitch triangles again, and then you do the tiny bobbles one last time in the center, and you cast off, and voila, there you go. You have the Go Go Dynamo shawl. Maybe let's see here. Um, I don't. This one, how to wear it? Ooh, there we go. Oops. I took the top off of this. I probably sound crazy right now. Let's see. Hopefully that's better. Hello, hello, testing. Okay. uh, that's the Go Go Dynamo. I have been asked by several people, am I going to do the mystery knit along this year? And I don't know. Probably what's going to happen is I'm going to say, no, I'm going to skip out this year, and then I'm going to end up doing it because I'll see other people sharing their yarns, and that will make me jealous, and then I will jump in. So that's likely to be what will happen. But I don't know. At the moment, I have several other things I want to work on, so at the moment, I'm saying no. But don't hold me to that. Okay. All right. So those are the two shawls. That's what we've got so far. Here's what I want to tell you about what's happening next. So last year, you might recall that I went on a trip with my family to Ireland, and I came back with some fun things, including this. Hold on here. This kit, Learn to Weave Irish Tweed, that includes a pop-out loom, which I'm not going to show you right now because the pieces are kind of falling all over the place. And it came with these yarns. Although I feel like there's one missing. There is one missing. Where'd you go? Well, I'll find it later. There it is. It's on the floor. You don't need to see it. It's green. But anyway, so I've got these tweed yarns to work with, and I'm gonna finally get to it. I'm going to learn how to weave, learning using that practice loom. And the reason I'm deciding to do this right now is because I've mentioned this book before, Making Things, by Erin Boyle and Rose Perlman. Rose Perlman, who I have met because she is the wife of one of my colleagues. Anyhow, they created this book, Making Things, and it's all about sort of upcycling and DIY things that you can do so as not to waste so much stuff. And one of the things that I saw in here, like the first time I ever opened the book, was they made yarns out of t-shirts. And I thought that was really cool. And then I started to see similar things online, like making yarn out of denim and jeans and things like that, jeans in particular for denim. And I have so many pairs of jeans that I was getting ready to give away. But the thing is, I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. My jeans, whenever I wear them, they are not built to last, whatever the jeans companies may try to say about it. They always get these awful, awful holes in the, the crotch hole area. And I have mended them, I've patched them up, I've done things to try to make them last longer. But those patches fall off, they tear off, the very forces that created the holes in the first place just kind of go right through any patchwork that I try to do. So I figured it's time for these to move on. But I mean, can I give away a pair of pants with holes in them? I have done that in the past, thinking that somebody's probably going to fix it up before they pass it on. But then, I've seen all of these documentaries about what really happens when we are disposing clothing, and just the huge, huge, horrible, not even landfills that these things end up in, but the mountains of disposed clothing that they go get thrown into. And the waste is just phenomenal. So I wanted to find a way to upcycle these and use them. And I've seen things online of people doing that with jeans and turning them into yarn. So I have a stack of jeans here of various colors. And what I really want to do is turn these into yarn, and then I want to weave them into a rug. That's the thing that I'm like kind of obsessed with at the moment, and I've watched several different versions of this on YouTube, and found a few that I like. Um, some, well, some are perhaps beyond my skills because they require a sewing machine, which I don't have, nor do I know how to use if I had one. So that's a whole other project. I need to learn how to sew using a sewing machine. But anyway, but I found a way, one that used the different strips and linked them in a really interesting way that didn't involve any sewing. So I might try that. And I found one video that showed how to basically take the leg and cut it so that it's one spiraling, very long piece of yarn. And anyway, I'm going to play around with it. I'm going to figure this out hopefully tonight. I don't know how long it's going to take me to cut them all up. I want to believe that I can do it in an hour and a half. That's probably wishful thinking. But anyway, I'm going to get started on it. And I'm going to learn to weave using my Irish tweed kit. And then we'll see. I might be by the next episode or two. I might be building my own loom out of boards and nails, and we'll see how far this goes. But anyway, I'm excited about the prospect of it, and I'm eager to get started with the cutting of this. So that's on my list of things to do tonight. And stay tuned because this will be fun to see. It might look terrible. Oh well. They were going to be thrown out anyway. At least I will have tried to upcycle them to something new, something fun, and something crafty. And we need a new rug for the kitchen, and that will be perfect. So that's what it's going to become, I hope. Now, I'm going to leave you with a book recommendation. That is all that I have for you for the fiber arts today. But here's my recommendation to you. This is a very different book than ones that I've recommended in the past, because if you have watched this channel for any length of time, you know that my tastes and interests tend to skew towards the older. I've often said that I don't like reading books that are written before 1940, or at least are about things that happened before 1940 if they were written today. Now, that's not entirely true. I kind of say that just to sound fussy, even though I'm not that fussy. But it is rare that I will pick up a brand new author without without any knowledge of them. However, there is an exception to that rule. If I know that I'm going to meet the author in question, I will do that because I'm part of the Jersey City Writers Group, and quite often throughout the year we do beta readings for people who have written a novel, and I love being part of that process, reading things, giving feedback, and being part of the journey of someone's book as it goes to wherever it's going to go, publishing traditionally, self-publishing, or to the sock drawer, which is where a lot of mine end up. In this case, this is not a beta read. This is a published book, and but it's by a debut author. And she was doing a meet and greet at a bookstore in Florida while I was down there, and I happened to see the sign up saying that this was going to be happening, and I thought, I'll just pick it up and read it, and come and meet her and greet her and talk about it a little bit. So I did just that. Now, that meant that I was picking up something sight unseen and just kind of jumping into it, not knowing anything. It's not a book that I would pick up normally. It's Mm, it's funny here because it says it's a memoir on the back. It's not a memoir because it's fiction. Um, and it has a lot of elements of romance to it, but it's not what I would call a romance. In keeping with today, as earlier I did not say the names of the design or the designer. I have not yet said the name of the title or the author, even though I've been holding it here for you to see. But let me say that this is Bottom of the Breath, a novel by Jayne Mills. Now, if you look at the title, at the cover carefully enough, you may have guessed already that it has something to do with the Grand Canyon. And as I was saying, it's it has certainly elements of romance to it, but it's more about this protagonist's self growth in the midst of a very, very um, traumatic event that kind of creates a midlife crisis. I'll read you the back of the book. How about that? Sid Carr is catapulted from her tranquil life on the Florida Panhandle after crashing into a devastating revelation. Auspicious news of an unexpected inheritance, an impending hurricane, and her annoying, extreme dislike of flying coalesce to lure a reluctant Sid onto a cross country road trip with her recently estranged husband. Once in Phoenix, Sid uncovers strange details of the inheritance and a decades old family secret. But what was the whole truth? Clues and instinct lead to Sedona and the Grand Canyon, where romance, mysticism, and the majesty of place engulf and transform. Sid descends into the vast chasm alone, searching for answers to newly raised questions and age old mysteries. She steps off the beaten path, literally, knowing she must make peace with her past and forge her uncertain future. Now, like I said, really, really enjoyed reading this, and well, reading. I'm not to the end yet. I'm recommending this without having made it to the end. I'm about 75 pages out, but but um, I've loved it so much so far that I am going to just go ahead and recommend it anyway, and tell you that what I've really enjoyed about it is I don't know I've resonated with this character a lot. I am. This is not me secretly telling you about problems in my life. I'm not going through any of the things mentioned in the book or just shared with you on the back, but many of them are just very relatable to other things happening in my life and possibly in yours. And I've found a lot of connection through the book with the character, and it allowed me to ask certain questions of myself. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. It's just been a really, really fun read, a pleasant read. It's been my sort of poolside read, and I haven't been at the pool in well about the last week and a half, so that's why I haven't finished it yet. But anyhow, I do recommend it. Again, debut author Jayne Mills, Bottom of the Breath. Enjoy that. And with that said, I think we're done for now. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Again, if you did, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time when we will talk about whips and trips. All right? Bye, everybody. Thank you.